I mean, is there anybody that you know, Jack, that would say on any public platform right now that they're picking the Browns to win this game?
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Winners Friday, a Picks Friday, perhaps most importantly, a Finish Strong Friday presented by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. You know this. You love this. Hopefully a lot of you have checked out the Fantasy Feast podcasts from the last couple days. Big fan of John Daigle, what he's doing on that show. Put it here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast feed so that you guys could check it out. Love those of you that spread the word via social media or that take advantage of any of our sponsors or just YouTube, subscribe and comment, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. My buddy Chuck, by the way, something happened where Even Money Betting Podcast didn't get posted on audio right away. There was some type of technical issue. So my buddy Chuck texted me, "Where's Even Money? I live by it religiously, noon on Tuesdays. Where is it?" I said, "Well, it's already up on YouTube." He said, "Oh my gosh, there's video? I had no idea this existed." Hey, Chuck, and everybody else, we do every show on video every day. YouTube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. And I say it, I think, every day. So I don't know how you couldn't possibly know that. Here's the deal. On Fridays, I give you my winners for every game via making my picks. I also announce the winners of those of you that done a terrific job going the extra mile, spreading the word via social media, either at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod, or taking advantage of a sponsor or YouTube, as we discussed. And then I'll also, of course, recap last night's game between the Broncos and the Saints. A lot to get to. We will start by talking about Thursday night football presented by Labatt Blue Light. I have a couple of Labatt Blue Lights last night. No friends, just by myself, but that's okay. I'm still living to the life to the power of we, me and my TV. Always enjoy responsibly beer. Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
Bad news is I forgot to pick the winners again this week. The good news is you still have a chance to be a winner on Monday by engaging on any of the social platforms or taking advantage of one of the sponsors, whatever. I already talked about that. As for the game, that was like an old school, ugly Thursday night football game. I mean, there was a comedy of errors. Even in like the first couple series, Bo Nix had 2 wide open receivers and he threw the ball exactly in between both of them. Spencer Rattler had a play where he fumbled the snap, then he fumbled the ball, then Cody Barton returned it for a touchdown. Now, there was a penalty that called it back, but it was like almost an old school NFL Follies game. Ultimately, though, the Saints are in a bad way. I mean, we already knew how many injuries they had coming into the game, and then during the game, Paulson Adebo, one of their corners, breaks his leg. Marshawn Lattimore got hurt. And they couldn't stop the Broncos from running the football. I mean, this old school Saints defense, which you always used to be able to count on, you can't count on those guys anymore. You know, the Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu drops an interception, Cam Jordan, they're not those guys anymore. Meanwhile, even without Patrick Surtain, you can still count on this Broncos defense. I mentioned Cody Barton. He was awesome and everywhere. The Saints couldn't do anything. I mean, Spencer Rattler had some nice throws early in the game, throwing the ball underneath. He might have scrambled a couple times, but that was it. The only touchdown they scored was at the end of the game with Jake Haener. I mean, what's really crazy is it wasn't even that good of a performance by Bo Nix, like at all. And the Broncos still win 33-10. Now, Bo Nix helped a lot by running as much as he did, but He didn't target Cortland Sutton one time in the whole game, which was a little bit bizarre. But what you have is you have a very good defense in the Broncos, and that's why they were ultimately able to win by as much as they did. I love football. I love tailgating. I love that you guys get to tailgate a lot more than I do with Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. It's an experience that is best enjoyed together. How about this? Smirnoff is giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience. Tickets, sideline passes, much more. Head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15th. WeDoGameDays.com. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. Ends 11/15/24. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Incorporated, New York, New York. All right, so Jack, before we get to the picks, I want to make sure all of my listeners and people watching us, youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL, know that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. Think about that. I mean, that is a ridiculous deal. And it's on the nation's largest 5G network. Why not at least try it out? You're saving so much money that even if you do it on an old phone or a different phone, even if you're skeptical, even if you don't feel like switching, it's worth at least trying. Ditch the overpaid wireless to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/RTFP. That's mintmobile.com/RTFP. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/RTFP. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Want to know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, Ross, we're going to kick off the games here. We're going to start across the pond with the New England Patriots, technically at Jacksonville Jaguars.
So I think that's so interesting when you say technically at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Technically, they're not at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Technically, they're in London, but the Jaguars are the designated home team, and they do this every year. And I have no idea about this game. I mean, I'll take the Jags. They've been in London all week. They should be more familiar with it. They have a lot more talent than do the Patriots. If the Jags lose this game, that's a really bad look for Doug Peterson. A really, really bad look. You should be way more familiar with playing over there. You've been over there all week. You have better players at almost every position than the Patriots with their rookie quarterback. This needs to be a win for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was a little disappointed, by the way, in the Patriots defense last week against the Texans. I thought that was a unit that they could at least count on a little bit, but evidently not. That was not the case. So maybe the Jags actually score some points in this one. How about 27-20? Drake May gets another couple more touchdown passes. 27-20, Jags.
Got the Seattle Seahawks. They're at the Atlanta Falcons.
Do you know this, Jack? In Seattle, they don't call the Seahawks the Birds. They call them the Hawks. In Atlanta, do they call the Falcons the Birds? Yeah, the Dirty Bird.
The Dirty Birds, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, they call them the Birds. Because, like if you grow up, if you're from Philly, like the Eagles are the Birds. Like people call them the Birds. But I've always wondered, like in these other cities, that have bird mascots, if they call them the Birds. I don't know if the Falcons fans call them the Birds or the Dirty Birds,
I feel like I've heard Dirty Birds. Oh, I've never heard strictly just Birds, but I definitely have heard Dirty Birds a couple times.
Yeah, somebody that's a Falcons fan, hit us up on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod, or you can just email me, ross@rosstucker.com. I like Atlanta. I mean, these are two teams, Jack, going in very, very different directions. Falcons have won 3 straight. Their offense has been on fire with Kirk Cousins. This is who we thought the Falcons could be this year, even after they got off to a little bit of a slow start. Conversely, the Seahawks, man, 3-0, surprising. Nobody was expecting it. I think they've kind of reverted now to more what we thought they would be, which is like a 500 team at best. What's been really disappointing is their defense. You bring in a defensive-minded guy like Mike McDonald. They have some awesome corners with Woolen and Witherspoon. You'd think that the Seahawks would be able to come up with a better plan than they have thus far to not give up as many points as they have. I think they give up a bunch again. Give me Cousins and the gang, I don't know, 27-20. Is that the score I just said for Jags Patriots? Yeah, of course it is, because that's how I roll. I don't care. 27-20. I'm doubling down on my 27-20s. 27-20 Falcons.
The Buffalo Bills, they're hosting the Tennessee Titans.
Well, there's a couple teams I could have picked this week, but I'm going with the Bills for my Larceny lock. It's presented by Larceny Weeded Bourbon. Lock in a win and seize tonight. Bardstown, Kentucky, 46% alcohol by volume. Think wisely, drink wisely. All right. I love the Bills in this game. Not only do they get a little bit of a boost from Amari Cooper and adding him to the roster, and it's almost like a baseball team bringing another bat or another arm at the trade deadline, but also the Titans are bad. They're a bad team. I would anticipate multiple Will Levis turnovers in this one against Sean McDermott's defense. And the frustrations for the Titans are starting to boil over. We saw that with Calvin Ridley. You know, this is the way the NFL works. I wouldn't be like blown away if the Titans won the game, because that's how it happens sometimes. They won in Miami last year on Monday night. They're not winning this football game. Give me the Buffalo Bills 24, Titans 16.
Got ourselves an AFC North battle. The Bengals at the Browns.
See, like you should not have said AFC North battle there. That would have been much better to say Battle of Ohio. There's a lot of AFC North battles.
I've
There
got
aren't
some
that many battles
geography
of
topics
Ohio.
coming up. Let's pump the brakes here. We got geography topics coming up.
Okay, but this is the Battle of Ohio. It's not an AFC
It's
North
not special
battle.
though. It happens twice a year.
It is special. Battle of Ohio. And the AFC North, these are the two worst teams in the AFC North by far. So it's not really an AFC North battle. It's like an AFC North basement battle, if anything. Anyway, you got a lot to learn, kid. By the way, I cannot wait, even as I say this right now, I cannot wait for that one email I'll get from somebody that will say, "You're mean to Jack. I don't like it. He seems like a nice boy. He seems like a nice young man. Why is It's all a joke. It was all a dream." Anyway, it's all a joke. I mean, is there anybody that you know, Jack, that would say on any public platform right now that they're picking the Browns to win this game, or even a game at this point? I mean, maybe they get some type of boost from getting Nick Chubb back in the lineup. And if they did, that would be great. I love Nick Chubb. Love everything about the dude. He's fantastic. Although I will say this, checking out Dr. Chow on social media, SixScore.com, Sports Injury Central, he does not, unfortunately, have high hopes for Nick when it comes to how well he'll be able to perform this year, coming off that really, really bad injury, unfortunately. So hopefully Dr. Chow's wrong. Hopefully Chubbs comes out and he's awesome. I'll be taking the Bengals to win the game, though. Their defense looked much better against the Giants. That's the defense we've kind of come to know and love from the Bengals in these years where they've been a contender. I'll take the Bengals. I don't know that they score quite as many points as they have been. So how about like 23-13, 23-16 Cincinnati?
Got the Amon Green Bowl. Texans at the Packers.
Amon Green Bowl. That's funny. I forgot that Amon Green played for the Texans. All right. So let's do, I'm going to say, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Packers because they're the home team. This game certainly could go either way. I'm looking at it and thinking, I just think what Greg said yesterday about Jordan Love, how well he's playing right now, and the fact that the Packers are at home, and the fact of what Greg said about Matt LaFleur and how well he's been coaching, I'm going to give the Packers a slight edge in what should be a really fun game. I would imagine a decent amount of points in this game. Obviously, turnovers will be the big difference. Could go either way, but I'll say 27-24. Bunch of points. Packers win.
Next, Dolphins at the Colts.
So, Miami Dolphins versus Anthony Richardson. So the Dolphins got a win, then they had a bye. They've had more time for Tyler Huntley in the offense. You know, it's going to be a weird situation, Jack, if the Colts come out and they really struggle offensively, right? Anthony Richardson back in the lineup. They really need him to play well. He really needs to play well. Otherwise, kind of puts him in a bad situation there with how teams are viewing the Colts at this point, right? I mean, I don't think they would boo Anthony Richardson. They're pretty nice in Indianapolis, but they might start calling for Flacco. What happens if they're down 2 scores? Does Shane Steichen just stick with Anthony Richardson? This is when it becomes kind of an uncomfortable, a tough situation. So we'll have to see how things play out in this one. I'll ultimately take the Colts. I think that Richardson probably will run. I think they'll pull out all the stops to try to get the win because they know how important it is just for how the fan base and really the rest of the team views him. So give me the Colts. I don't know that they'll score a ton of points, but I don't think the Dolphins will either, even though the Colts defense isn't great. Let's go 20. I'll go 19-16. Low scoring. 19-16 Colts. A lot of field goals.
Next up is the team I'm wearing today, Minnesota Vikings. They're hosting the Lions.
What are you wearing today?
Got Fran Tarkenton jersey.
Oh my gosh. Why would you buy a Fran Tarkenton jersey?
Why wouldn't you buy a Fran Tarkenton jersey?
When do you wear it?
Here.
Just like at home in your house?
Well, on the show. You know, I have.
Oh, nice.
I'm paid to talk about football sometimes, so I figure might as well wear football.
I love it. I'm happy with that. I just wear prints and stuff pretty much every day because they send me free stuff all the time.
Ain't that nice?
I like. I think it's hard to go against the Vikings here. I really do. You know, without Aiden Hutchinson, I probably would have taken the Lions if they had Aiden Hutchinson. But without him, I'm going to take the Vikings. This is a gigantic game. The Vikings were able to go up 2 games on the Lions in the division. That would really be significant. Big difference. I mean, huge between winning the division and maybe being the number 1 seed versus being a wild card. Hard to overstate the importance of this game. I also think Brian Flores will do a nice job against Jared Goff and that red-hot Lions offense. I think a decent amount of points in this one. I'm going to go 24-23 Vikings in a really fun game.
Got a game between 2 NFC East teams, Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants.
Why'd you say that like a robot?
Because I can't. It's apparent if it's not 2 great teams in the same division, it's not a battle in that division. So I just have to say it's a game. It's a factual statement.
Yeah, so that's your second major blown opportunity, right? It's Saquon's return. Are you trying to not take stuff I want to say?
I mean, I try not to go for low-hanging fruit here. I feel like I could say so many easier things than I do here.
Well, I think say something that's interesting. Not everybody is following football 24/7 like you and I are. It's Saquon's return to the Giants. By the way, how about Saquon saying he's not expecting to get booed? If you're booing Saquon, why are you booing him? Are you booing the fact that your GM didn't want to pay him close to as much as he got from the Eagles? Is that what you're booing? I'm thoroughly confused as to why Giants fans would boo Saquon Barkley. He probably was going to stay. He would have stayed if you ever gave him a fair contract, but you didn't, so now he plays for the Eagles. I mean, it's that simple. So I like the Eagles in this one. Both teams without their left tackles, which I think is interesting. I also think the Giants are better than maybe some people are giving them credit for. I think the Giants, especially with Malik Neighbors, and it sounds like he'll be back in the lineup for them on Sunday, he really adds a lot. I mean, he's already a guy that you need to have safety help over the top or that dictates coverage because of his ability to make big plays. So that gives the Giants a little bit of a leg up. But this game means a lot to Saquon. I think he has a big game. I think they get him the ball in space, unlike the game against the Browns. And I think the Eagles win a close one. I'll go with my vaunted 20-17 Birds.
Next, the Raiders. They are at the Rams. What are you thinking there?
I am thinking that there will be more Raiders fans than Rams fans, as Fezzik always points out on the Even Money Betting podcast. It sounds like the Rams might be getting Cooper Kupp back. That makes a big difference, just in time for the Raiders to lose Devontae Adams, although he hadn't been playing the last few weeks anyways. I don't know if you can really lose something you hadn't had in a while. Feels kind of like a toss-up game, but Rams coming off a bye, Rams getting Cooper Kupp back. They're still playing at home, even though the Raiders might have more fans. And the Raiders, kind of a weird week with them moving on from Devontae Adams. It kind of feels like, that the team's not really trying to win this year when you make a move like that. I'll take the Rams to get this thing done. 23-20, LA.
Next, what I would consider a battle of the border, the Panthers. They're at the Commanders.
Battle of the border. Tell me about that one.
Well, because the Commanders, they're pretty much, I would consider Virginia to be Commanders territory, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And that
does Maryland border North Carolina anywhere or no?
No, that's way too north.
No, because Maryland gets cut off by Virginia and Delaware. Then you got to go further south in Virginia to go to. I've done that drive once. I did Outer Banks, drove to North Carolina through Virginia one time and back. You're actually in Maryland for a while, and then you're in Virginia and whatever. It was lovely, by the way. Outer Banks, lovely. I can see why people go there. At any rate, interestingly, Jack, to your point there, when before the Carolina Panthers were a franchise, in Carolina, they would get all of the Redskins games. That was like their local affiliate. So there are a lot of Redskins fans in the Carolinas because of that. A lot. I remember 2002, Julius Pepper's first game I started, and there was probably half the stadium was Redskins fans back then because, they had grown up as big Redskins fans. Look, I think we talked about this on Even Money, taking the over 52. Carolina's defense is bad, like bad. And the Commanders' defense isn't really that great either. I think there will be a ton of points in this one, like a lot. So ultimately, though, I'm not picking the Panthers to win the game. That'd be a huge upset. I don't know that I have any underdogs or any upsets this week. I don't think I have so far. At any rate, give me the Commanders to take care of business. I think it feels like, let's go 38-24. 38-24 Washington.
Got a Super Bowl 58 rematch. The Chiefs are at the Niners.
What's the other Super Bowl they played in?
What was that? I'm the blank on the exact number.
But you know which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
The first one that Mahomes won.
Yeah. What is it, like 53, 54?
Probably, something like that. 52, 53, 54, in that realm. At any rate, I like the Niners. It's interesting because they're favored. Even though the Chiefs are undefeated and the Niners have 3 losses, the Niners are favored, and I agree. They're not favored by a lot. It's only 1.5. But, here's how I look at games like this sometimes, Jack. The Chiefs are not going 17-0. It's just not going to happen. The Niners desperately need to win this game. They're not, they lose 4 games. They'll probably still win the division. But seeding and home field in the playoffs matters, despite what the Chiefs did last year. I like the Niners just more motivated in this one, even though it won't make up for the Super Bowl loss. Give me San Francisco, 24-21 Niners.
Next, we have a game you might know a thing or two about. The Jets. They're in Pittsburgh against Steelers.
I cannot wait for this game. Going to be in the booth for Westwood 1. Should be awesome. Devontae Adams going to play for the Jets. And it's sounding more and more like Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback for the Steelers. That's wild to me. I'd be shocked if Fields doesn't at least have a package at this point where he's running the football. Sometimes they don't lose that element and they make the Jets have to prepare for both. But I'm taking the Jets. Sort of the same mindset that I had for the Niners in that game. The Jets have to win this game. I mean, the Jets cannot fall to 2-5. I don't know that it'll be pretty, but I do think they get a boost from Devontae Adams. And I think Russell Wilson comes out rusty, and people are booing. People are calling for Fields. I think it could get ugly in the Steel City Sunday night. How about 23-17 Jets?
Got the Ravens. They're at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What an awesome Monday night game. Really looking forward to it. I think there's a ton of points in this one too, right? Both teams have average defenses, I would say. I think the Ravens run for a ton of yards. I think the Bucs pass for a lot. I'm still going to take the Ravens to win the game. I think they're the better team. Let's go 31-28 Baltimore.
And we'll wrap things up with the other Monday night game, the Chargers. They're at the Cardinals.
This is ESPN Plus only, I believe. I'm fascinated to see what the ESPN Plus numbers end up being because there's another game on, like at the exact same time. That's way, way better with the Ravens and the Bucs. That's fascinating to me. So the Cardinals have kind of been up and down. The Chargers have been a little bit more consistent. This, I guess, will be my only upset pick. I think the Cardinals are going to come through in this one. I think the Cardinals are going to get it done in this one at home because this is how they've been. They've kind of been a yo-yo this year. Kyler makes some plays with his legs. The Chargers, it's a close game, good game, but let's go Cardinals 23-20, and we got an upset pick. We can let the doggies out.
Ross's Underdog of the Week.
Other than that, Jack, let's have a fun weekend. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Other than that, Jack, let's have a fun weekend. I think we're done here. Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Please just go to the website, throw your email address in so you get the email a month before Valentine's Day or the holidays or Mother's Day, and you get one of these great gifts for a loved one. Backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.